What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure make sure to like and subscribe to the channel as you tune in and you check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on LeBron James and his future, right? As you probably already know, LeBron James now is not coming back with the Lakers, right? And so now he's entering a phase in his life or a chapter in his life where he don't really have LeBron James don't have the leverage like he used to when he first hit the league. Then in the middle, like the middle of his career, he had still had leverage. The closer LeBron James gets to retirement, the less leverage LeBron James have, right? And it was evident the way that the Lakers treated him the last 2 years, and then recently when they decided to go in a different route without LeBron James, right? Once the Lakers signed Austin Reeves, it even started before then. Last year, the Lakers chose not to extend his contract, right? And then this year they chose to sign Austin Reeves, make Austin Reeves a priority, right? So that just shows that LeBron James, that like his leverage was attached to the fact that he was young and he had something he could contribute to a team in a positive way and make them competitive, right? And that's something that all athletes go through. Kobe, Mike, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, like as you age out, you don't have as much. You can't help the team as much as you did once you're younger. So everybody ages out. That's a given. But what do you do is like while you're there and while you have leverage, you take that opportunity to build bridges and build relationships, right? And that's something LeBron James, he didn't. The way it's obvious that LeBron James didn't. He's not playing for the future, right? And even when you look at his friend, what's the guy, Rich Paul. Rich Paul, throughout the relationship with LeBron James, has basically been riding on LeBron James' coattail. He has not, and it's cool to hire your friends, but you have to put them in positions that they qualify for, right? And so, as a spokesperson and as a business partner or somebody to be ahead of what is this Clutch Sports, Rich Paul, it's obvious that he's not qualified for that job. Rich Paul don't know anything about like the media and how to put his client LeBron James in the best light. He did it, he mimicked LeBron James. Everything he says is based on the fact that LeBron James has leverage and he didn't plan for the future. That's why now Rich Paul are putting out different statements, and it's just he looked like a fool because it's obvious that Rich Paul and LeBron James don't have any leverage. So the statements that he's putting out are more so trying to put LeBron James in a positive light, and he's trying to put a troll he's trying to control the narrative basically around LeBron James, when the way you control a narrative is LeBron James should have been controlling the narrative on the court. And Rich Paul, as somebody who is a spokesperson for LeBron James, should have told LeBron James, but and see, this is why it's a double-edged sword. So LeBron James put Rich Paul in a position where he wasn't qualified for. So he didn't know to tell LeBron James, or he wasn't wise enough to tell LeBron James, like, plan for the future. You need to build we need to build relationships now so that when you retire, we'll be able to we'll be on solid ground. And that's what business is about, relationship. Even when you go to college, I think the most important part of going to school is when people you get your education, but the relationships and the contacts that you get while you're in college are very important. And it could be in high school. Like, for instance, I sent my daughter went to an all-girls school, all-girls school in Baltimore, right? And they have, their alumni is very strong. They they have a reputation for going on after they graduate, going on to college and going into the business world, and then still staying in contact with the people that they had, that they went to high school with, right? And so that's the reputation, and that helps in the future, right? Just those contacts. Now, if you go to school or you somewhere in a business environment and you don't build the right relationships and you burn bridges, then you'll end up like LeBron James, right? You'll be trying to put out fake narratives, and people will see right through that. And so LeBron James put Rich Paul, Maverick Carter, what's the other guy name? Randy Mims. He put all of those guys in positions where they were not qualified, right? And it's cool, like everybody want to be able to look out for their friends, and everybody want to put the people around them in positions to win or give them an opportunity. That's cool, but when LeBron James really need these guys, they are going to be sitting there with their thumbs twiddling because they don't have the experience or the knowledge to know what to do to help LeBron James. Everybody is really basically living off of LeBron James's like the leverage and the power he has as an NBA player, right? And so that's even a reflection of how LeBron James has conducted himself throughout his career in the NBA. He had leverage and he had power, and so he exercised that. He was able to go from team to team and cherry pick and play with the best players or the best players that he could assemble. So he thought that would give him an advantage, right? But it's not always about that. It's about learning along the way, learning how to persevere, learning how to work with people. And that's something that LeBron James missed in his era. Like this player empowerment, I think really didn't serve LeBron James well, because when you look at players who came before him, the generations that came before him, people always bring this point up. The fact that all the great franchise ball players stayed with one team throughout their career. And so that gave them an advantage because they learned how to persevere. They learned how to make the best out of the situation that they were in and become winners through those situations. That's why people love Larry Bird. They love Isaiah Thomas, because those guys didn't leave Boston and they didn't leave Detroit. And so they stuck with those teams. They became better in ways that most players, like if you're in a situation and the situation get hard and it becomes difficult and you're able to leave, that's cool, but you also don't get to grow from that situation by staying there. You don't learn how to persevere. And so back in the days, the NBA used to operate like this. Like role players were mostly shipped off, and traded, from team to team. A lot of times teams will hold on to their franchise players, like the Atlanta Hawks held on to Dominique Wilkins, right? Until the very end, they held on to Dominique. The New York Knicks held on until the very end. They held on to Patrick Ewing, because they stuck with their franchise players because that was a draw. But now when you think about it comes to player empowerment, and you got LeBron James, you have Kevin Durant, you got James Harden. When these guys get tired of a situation and, they look for greener pastures somewhere else. And that, in my opinion, stunts their growth, right? Because had LeBron James stayed in Cleveland, or even when he went to Miami, had he stayed in Miami, I think he would have instructed his people like Rich Paul to do a better job. He'd have been able to help them help him. But now he's carrying them. And once you start carrying your friends, they're not trained in a way that can help you. And LeBron James, I think after his career is over, we're really going to need these guys, especially from a business standpoint, right? Like this is where Rich Paul, Randy Mims, Maverick Carter, like this is where your business expertise and your business acumen, that like this is where it's supposed to kick in. And LeBron James is supposed to be able to team up with y'all as a a business team so you can help each other, right? Or so you can help LeBron continue to build the brand, to build the business. But they're basically his lackeys, you know, his spoke pieces. Like whatever he stayed for them to do, that's what they do. They're not really, you know, they think that because LeBron James has money, that he's a businessman, and that, you know, that makes you a businessman by default because, you know, the guy who's backing you have money. And it's not like that. I think after LeBron James's basketball career is over with, he's really going to find out how incompetent these guys are. He's going to realize how much he's carrying, you know, Rich Paul and all these other guys, man, because they don't have the expertise really to help LeBron James. And LeBron James burnt a lot of bridges, you know, you know, and so it's really going to show. And so that's my take on it. A lot of people are talking about it from a basketball point of view, but when is his business point, like he in trouble as far as his business is concerned because he don't have the right people around him, right? And so I wanted to make this video now because I don't want to wait until, you know, like once mainstream media or reports come out and everybody else then will be hopping on a bandwagon saying that, oh yeah, LeBron James is in this situation, he's in that situation. But I'm just telling you what's to come when you put people around you who just along for the ride. And that's what Rich Paul is and those guys. They want to be helpful, but they just not qualified to help LeBron James and what he's going to need, like to run a $1 billion empire. You know, they not qualified for that. So make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to leave a comment. And with that being said, man, I'm going to check y'all out in the next video. Peace.